What a lovely evening here today on Wax's podcast. I'd like to welcome you all, the listenership, to Burbank, California. Here in the studio, Caviar Studios. That's me playing the keys as I say this. I just want you all to know that I love you. I want you all to know that I love you very, very much. Wax's podcast, talking mad shit about uninteresting facts. Wax's podcast, talking mad shit about uninteresting facts. Listen to it every Wednesday. Or Thursday, usually, actually. I just want to let you guys know that when I do this podcast, I don't do it because the sky is blue. I don't do it because grass is green. I don't do it because a certain holiday is coming up, even though Valentine's Day is coming up this weekend. Fellas, get something for your ladies. Ladies, get something for your fellas, because that day is all about love. And that's why I do Wax's podcast. Did you hear that segue, ladies and gentlemen? I didn't come to that segue on my own. The love of God, the love of Jesus, the love of Muhammad, the love of Ezekiel, the love of the prophet, the love of Isaiah, the love of Harriet Tubman, the love of Gandhi, the love of Steve Jobs' corpse, all have converged into one audio frequency, and they are right now in my brain, and it is all one love for Valentine's Day. We just watched the Grammys this past weekend, and let me tell you something. There was a lot of deserving people on that stage, a lot of loving people on that stage, a lot of beautiful people on that stage. But let me tell you, there wasn't one more beautiful thing. You don't know what I'm about to say, do you? You had no idea what I'm about to say. And you know what? I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to tell you what the one beautiful thing that I noticed on the Grammys this weekend was. Because that beautiful thing is up to you. Oh, this is my favorite song.
Which one?
The one you're playing. I don't fucking know.
I don't know which one I'm playing.
Oh, man. What an intro to Wax's podcast today. As you just noticed, there is a special guest. This is probably one of the most special editions of Wax's podcast of all time. And when I say of all time, I mean the lifetime of Wax's podcast. We're reporting to you live from Caviar Studios in Burbank, California. And I've mentioned this man many times on the podcast before, but he has never actually been on the podcast. Everybody there, give a warm welcome to Mr. Davy Nathan.
Wait, I'm looking for the crowd noise, you know?
Oh, you suck, dude.
Yeah, it's too late.
Well, Mr. Nathan over here, as you can tell by the intro, we're doing a little bit more like a musical podcast. At least we were just now.
Mm-hmm.
Davy's got the motif keyboard.
Wait, announce me again.
And everybody out there in Podcastville, makes a special round of applause with your hands for Mr. the one and only, his fucking Israeliness, Mr. Davey Nathan.
Thank you so much. Oh, they're not done. Oh, thank you for that.
Is that all the same? Is that setting like different? Is it notes? Kinda?
Yeah, kinda.
Can you play a chord that with it'll just sound like more applause?
Yeah, and then there's like
But yeah, my boy Davy's here. Davy's who I split this studio with, and it's an honor to have him. We work every day, but he's just never been on the podcast. And for some reason, he's decided this week he wanted to be on it.
Yes.
And I was like, of course you can. We've been talking about having you on here for a while.
That's
we work
right.
together every day.
That's right.
But, you know, you're kind of a mysterious dude.
Mm.
And I'm not just talking about the way you look.
Mm. So here it is, the big reveal.
No, it's just that, you know, I've been working with you for a while.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't think I've ever had you on the podcast or really said anything about your life story or anything like that. And I think now.
And whose fault is that?
I mean, it's your fault.
I asked to be on this week's podcast.
I know, and now you are.
All right. You know, I got to say, in preparation for this podcast, I listened to some old podcasts.
My podcast?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I can't believe you did.
And I did it on the way here.
Okay.
And I listened to podcast number 48, which...
I had no idea which one that...
Right, which funny enough was exactly
because this is 82.
Ago. Right. It was exactly a year ago. And you start out by saying that you quit cigarettes and alcohol again.
Right.
And that you're working on your album.
On what album?
I don't know. I guess the same one.
On the shit... a year ago.
Yeah, you just finished the thing with Dom and Breezy.
Oh, right, which never came out. Which I don't really know why. To anybody out there that remembers, like a year ago, I did an album with Breezy Lovejoy, aka now he goes by Anderson .Paak and Dumbfounded. Some of that shit was really tight too, man. We just never put it out. I don't really know. I don't really even know myself what the story behind that, the lack of us putting that out is. Hopefully this shit will come out soon. I don't know.
Well, you know, and you also were working on your own album, which still hasn't come out.
Well, the thing is, for the last, I'd say, 15 years, if you ask me what I'm doing, I'm going to say I'm working on my album. You know what I mean? Every time I'm in a studio or even if I'm at a fucking beach with a guitar, I'm kind of working on my album, you know?
Right.
I wonder what songs I was working on back then. Probably that 1, 2, 3 shit.
I just wanted to say not much has changed.
Yeah. In the past couple years, man, I've done the whole like quit smoking and quit drinking thing multiple times. And I haven't even revealed on this podcast yet that my not drinking for a year thing has actually come to an end. Yeah, so I'm back on the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not that hard on the wagon. I'm not fucking going apeshit like I have in the past, but I am drinking a Maker's Mark right now. But that's more of a celebratory Maker's Mark for having you on the podcast.
Right. Yeah,
so,
that's special too. We're drinking on the podcast.
Yeah, I never do that. Right. Back in the day, there was a couple podcasts where I had some beers, but
and it's like
the best podcast that I've done, in my opinion, the podcasts where I'm like the most sharp and the most witty and the most quick are always in the morning while I'm drinking coffee and shit. In my opinion, but you know. Some people might like the party podcast.
Right. So this is it, in a way.
This is Wax's party podcast, episode like 2 or 3. I've had a couple like guest podcast things.
Cool.
Only in-studio guests I've had is T-Rex, has been on a bunch of times. My brother, EOM, Watsky. I had one with Dumb and Breezy. We actually did a podcast from the studio when we did that project. So you must have listened to like episode 40. That must have been like 47 or something.
42.
What was that? Was I saying anything interesting on that one? No?
No, sorry.
Oh.
But yeah, you quit smoking and drinking, and I just thought it's funny because you're still smoking and drinking after.
People are always gonna, you know.
Yeah.
Life is like the ocean, man. It goes in waves, you know. It's like the ocean, man. You know, you got to wave where you smoke, wave where you don't. Just got to surf, bro. Wait. Sometimes you surf on this wave. Sometimes. Nice.
That's seashore.
This
so we're gonna have sound effects today.
Yeah, this fool Davy Nathan is an expert with the Motif keyboard. I first met Davy because he played in my band. I was lucky enough to have this motherfucker play in my band through a mutual friend.
Yeah, should we talk about that? How we met?
Yeah, it's not that interesting of a story, but it is kind of funny the way that you described me when you first met me. That you want to talk about that?
Sure. I met you. When was it? 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
It was 2010 for sure.
Damn.
It was the end of 2010.
Yeah, so our mutual friend Angie said, hey, I got this gig. We only have to play 3 songs, and it pays really well. And at the time, I wasn't playing much in town, and I said, fuck it, let's do it. And I show up to rehearsal, and then you came with like a camera crew.
Probably wasn't a crew. It was probably one dude with a camera.
It was probably AK and like
Yeah.
somebody else. And I was like, who the fuck is this dude?
Right.
I was like, who does he think he is? And we practiced the 3 songs, and I was like, whatever. And then the gig was at
Viper Room.
Viper Room, right. And they have like 4 or 5 bands a night. Usually there's like 10 people in the audience. In fact, I think the band before us had like 10 people in the audience.
Right.
So
That's how they do shows there. It's like 5 instead of having like booking one bill for the night. They book. It's like every night there's 5 different shows and people shuffle in and out. I'm sure they make plenty of money.
Yeah. So I was like, nobody's gonna come to this shit. And then so the band before us, they had like 10 people there, and then we started setting up. And then when you set up, remember they close the curtain so you can't see the audience. And then we finished setting up, and we go out there, and the place was packed. It was like 250 people or whatever. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And then the show started, and the band segment was last. So first,
yeah, that was when I did a DJ, then acoustic, then band. Right.
So you went up with EOM. You guys did like 3-4 songs. Then you did a thing by yourself. And then the band went up. And I was like, what the fuck? Who is this kid? So that was the first time. And then I don't remember what happened after that.
I think we did a couple. At that point, it was still you were still just like a fucking. You weren't my. I wouldn't say that you were my. I mean, obviously, by the way you described it, it's not like you were my friend for that performance. You're kind of a quiet dude too,
Right.
which is strange because you know everybody and you're like kind of like in such a good networker and talker when you're really kind of a quiet type of dude.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't really know. From that point, we did a couple more shows. And then we start. I don't know when we started actually making shit together, writing and producing and shit. But I've definitely taken you to Europe before.
That was I think we became friends in New York.
Right.
At the release show in New York, we got really drunk.
Yep.
And I remember it was really cold, and it was one of those like, I love you, man. You know, it was one of those like 3 a.m. outside in New York in January.
That was prior to the Unplugged thing, right?
Yeah.
Because by that point, you were kind of like, it wasn't just you played keys for me. You were like at that time like my musical director, basically.
Right.
You found all the players, and
right.
You know, all that shit.
We did we did the Unplugged show after that, which was a lot of fun.
That was one of my best. That was one of my that was probably my favorite show that I've ever played. At least up there as one of them, you know.
Right.
And definitely one of the heights of my like just artistry, man. You know what I mean? Like it was just really cool to do something like that.
Right. And Rosanna had just come out to the video. Yeah.
We had we got a fucking mariachi band.
We got the mariachi band
to come out for that song.
And I had to teach them the song backstage before the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And the trumpet player was like literally 1,000 years old, and Davey's little fucking dumbass humor. He turns to me and goes, "That guy was around when they invented the trumpet. He was there."
Oh wait, that's
you're looking for the You don't have that, dude. You'd actually need to get a little kit.
For what?
You know the fucking joke, the
right,
two snares and a cymbal.
Right. I gotta
I don't know why they call that rim shot.
Right, because it's not.
It's not a rim. It's 2 snare hits and a cymbal usually.
Right.
It's usually snare, kick, cymbal, right?
Right.
Boom.
Not that.
Well, the joke has passed, and fucking Davy Nathan. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was done in the 80s by like fucking Whitesnake's drummer.
Yeah. So back to the story. We did the acoustic show. Then I think we started working on music. The first song we did was what?
Well, we made some beats. You came over when I was living at that house, and we made some.
You
did some shit with E.
You
might have worked with E before you worked with me.
That's right.
You might have worked with him first.
You know what? The first like official thing we did was Pictures of You.
Oh yeah,
Pictures of You. I got my friend.
For those of you guys that want to know what Davey looks like, if you've ever seen my video called Pictures of You, if you haven't, go check it out. It's one of my best videos, and it's actually become one of my most viewed videos too. But Davey is the dude on the weird fucking instrument called an omnichord. Yeah. Oh, that's why I did well.
Yeah.
Are you not in any other of my videos? You're in all the Unplugged videos. They ain't got that
Unplugged,
many views. All the comments are like, man, that piano player's ugly as shit.
Yeah. So anyway, so we did pictures of you at the old apartment. That was fun. I brought over the Omnicord.
Yeah.
Remember that? And we just did it.
That was a product of that. Actually, that song was a product of you coming over and working with EOM a couple weeks before, and you made a beat, which was not that great of a beat. You know what I mean? It was just like those chord change.
Right.
Isn't that the
jamming.
shining? Is that the shining star chord changes basically?
It's close to it. We were just jamming.
But that turnaround is cool.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one part that I wrote.
Probably not. And then, we just wrote the beat, and then we came back a week later, and you're like, guys, I have the rap.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, it's about masturbating. Good. Cool.
Yeah, but it turned out awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's clever.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
real life things. You know,
Yeah.
everybody masturbates. You got to tell the truth in your music. You know what I mean?
Right. You put your all in your art, man.
I mean, everybody fucking does certain things, you know?
Right.
You should write a song about, you know. Ever tell you about that skit I wanted to do where, like, you know, if you go, like, A&R people and music industry people, like, I don't know if it's relatable.
Right.
Like, what if you, like, went in there after they told you that and made, like, the most relatable songs, like, ever. Like, when I say that, I mean, like, you made a song called, like, I'm Hungry, you know? Or a song called, like, Stop at the red light, stop at the red light, go green, go. Now I'm thirsty. Have you ever felt like you needed to drink a glass of water?
I need a shower.
I'm dirty. I'm sweaty. I'm filthy. I'm naked. I'm not a towel. I'm drying myself off. I showered and now I'm getting dressed. Getting dressed today. Brush my teeth. Put the paste on the brush. Got the orange juice, eggs, and a little bit of sausage and some pancakes. Don't you know? That's the way my morning goes.
We should end every song like that.
And with a held out note, and that's the fucking,
That's called
the suspended whatever.
Deceptive whatever.
Right. There's a term for it that you learn in fancy school. Davy's a kind of a prodigy there. Why don't we talk a little bit about your life? You have an interesting life.
Okay. Can I get another beverage though?
Yeah. Yeah. What are you giving it to me? You want me to pour it?
Please.
Okay.
It's your show. You're the host.
Wait, I'm the host, so that means I guess that does mean the host would do that. All right, you're gonna have to talk for a second.
Okay, I'm gonna talk.
This is gonna be fucking terrible. I'm giving you a little bit talk. Let's see what you say.
What do you want to know?
I want to know.
You're a terrible host.
Because you're from Israel and you fucking moved here.
Right.
Why don't you give like a short story on your early life?
Okay.
And then just talk about how you moved here and how you went to Berkeley and how you came to LA. I love the story of your first week in LA. That's a great story.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so I moved here. I was born and raised in Israel, and I always wanted to live in America. I think I knew when I was 9. I just always wanted to live in the States. And
I like to call Israel because that's how they say it in church.
They do? Oh yeah, I guess they do.
Israel.
Right.
Church. He is the shepherd of Israel, Ezekiel, Joseph, Israel.
Right. Yeah. All that church education really paid off, by the way. Yeah. So I'm from Israel, and I moved to the States when I was 17. I had an aunt. I still have an aunt that lives in Boston, and I lived with her for a year. And I went to high school in Sharon, Massachusetts, for 1 year, which was very different than high school in Israel, as you can imagine. And I went to high school, and then I went to... Why was it different?
No, why is it as we can imagine? I can't imagine.
Right. Well, in Israel, I went to arts high school, and everybody was doing some kind of art, from playing instruments to dancing to making movies or painting or whatever. And then in Sharon, Massachusetts, it was a very American high school. It was like with the lockers and the football team and the cheerleaders.
Dude,
and
I think the stereotypical what high school is pretty true in most American cities.
right.
Whether it be like the stereotype of a shitty one in an inner city or a
Right.
fucking high school cheerleader football bullshit in the
Right.
suburbs or rural shit.
And I think the town Sharon, Massachusetts is like 88% Jewish. I think they used to bus the black people, the black kids from like Boston, and it was like 10 of them. And it was just a very boring vanilla high school. But the good thing was that I went to 12th grade. That's the only grade I did in the States, and that's the easiest grade in the States. Once you get into college, it's over. But in Israel, it's the hardest grade because you have to go through all these tests and all this bullshit. So I got into college. I went to Berkeley College.
Do you have a sound effect for a snoring person? I'm just fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you. I'm just fucking with you.
Can I talk about the stand-up school?
No.
No. Okay.
You can if you want. I might have talked about that last week.
So I went to Berkeley College of Music. Yeah, I mean, this part is not that interesting. I went to school.
I was just kidding. I'm intrigued. I just like talking shit about you. If you guys that don't know, me and Davey, all we do, we actually, when we greet each other, we don't even give each other five. We look at each other and shake our heads in disgust.
Right.
That's our greeting. We just talk. It's just constant talking shit.
Well, let me tell you about Berkeley. It's gathered by the fire.
I can't get this.
That's like a fire noise.
I don't know the proper way to do this.
You're having a hard time opening a Maker's Mark?
Because it's got the wax shit all over it.
Anyways, I went to Berkeley College of Music, Berkeley as we call it. And I went there for, 3 or 4 years. And then I played keyboards around Boston. I was playing in bars. I started in a bar band. I played in a bar band for 8 months, 4 nights a week. Then I graduated to a wedding band. I played in a wedding band for 6 years. I played weddings, sometimes 2 to 3 weddings a weekend. And you know what's the most amazing thing about playing that many weddings?
What's the most amazing thing about playing that many weddings?
I'll tell you what it is. It doesn't matter who the people are, how rich, how poor, what color, what nationality, where they come from. They all want to have the same wedding. Everybody wants to have the same exact wedding.
Really?
It's amazing. Down to the speeches. And there were some speeches that we used to know by heart because there's a book.
Oh, right.
There's a book of like best man speeches, maid of honor speeches, and people literally used to just go to the first one and just read that one.
Dude, if you know what, I've never thought about this before, but this could be a thought is that if you do that, if you're a best man and you just take a speech from that book, you're fucking lame as shit. Like that's a litmus test.
Right.
That's a litmus test that your personality sucks.
Yeah, but you know what? Speaking in front of other people is like people's number one fear.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I
That's
get
true,
that.
man.
And you know, most of those speeches are just lame. Like people are just scared to speak in public, and especially like to say their feelings and all that shit. So I did 2 to 3 weddings a weekend for 6 years.
And you were probably what, like 23 or something?
That was like 19 to 24.
Okay.
25.
So you're going to Berkeley and making money doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw fights at weddings. What else did I see? Fights.
What, fights between just like fucking...
Like one time, the best man grabbed the bride's ass on the dance floor during the first dance.
What was that? Hear that
I don't know. Yeah. So he grabbed her ass during the first dance, and it just like a huge fight erupted. You know?
That's crazy.
And I think the band leader was kidding, like let's play Beat It, but we didn't.
It's funny when I've been to a lot of weddings,
Right.
and it's funny to see how, because you're right, they're at the very least they're all very similar. You know what I'm saying? They all have the same structure, and it's like everybody all of a sudden is serious about love, and it kind of seems like everybody thinks that everything's so sacred and shit. But then you
Right.
look at the people who are getting married, you're like, well, I've done coke with you,
Right.
I fucked you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. We did one wedding where we were, this was like the wedding from hell. where they were all Irish and they were all heavy drinkers. And I remember
Oh yeah.
we usually used to
And
play,
wedding is the excuse to drink. Yeah.
that's right. We used to play a first set that was just like jazz set, and then the band would take a break and eat, and then come back and do like 3 sets of dance music. And I remember we took a break to eat, and then the groom comes over, and he is just so drunk, and he's like, "Get up, go to the stage, go play," and we kind of had to go play. And he says to the drummer, "All right, now you start playing this," and he starts telling him a drum beat to play, and he says to the bass player, "You play this." Like, it was a mess. And then all of a sudden they bring in, like, one of the aunts came in the room with like security people, and they were trying to hold her back, but she was so drunk she wanted to fight somebody. That was the wedding from hell.
Did you play in the type of band that, because there's really 2 types of wedding bands. There's the band that plays during like the ceremony and during the drinks, where they have like a weird little jazz trio or something. But I have a feeling you were in the kind of band that played like Kool and the Gang songs.
Right,
and shit. Yeah.
right. I did used to do that. I used to play piano for the ceremony and all that stuff, and then go and play with the band. And I don't know if there's any musicians listening out there, but
There's definitely some.
yeah, that was a great experience for me. As much as I hated it, and weddings are, the worst thing ever.
It's not bad bread too.
Yeah, it's not bad bread. I think I was making 5-6 G's a month doing it.
That's awesome.
It, like, in the good periods. And but the good thing about it is that you learn a lot. First of all, it's playing hit songs. If you play a song at a wedding, it's a hit fucking song.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that was great for me. I love hit songs.
You did a lot of Michael Jackson, stuff like
Michael
that.
Jackson,
Yeah.
Earth and Fire, James Brown, Sinatra, anything that's a hit song. Brown Eyed Girl, And I just learned how to play hit songs. And then as far as the keyboard player, the bass sounds the same on every song. Guitar pretty much sounds the same. But keyboard, you can change sounds from song to song.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about that.
You're covering strings. You're covering organ.
Right. I learned like Sinatra arrangements, like all the parts, and that was a lot of fun. That prepared me for the next thing. And I was doing that on weekends, and then I was playing at clubs during the week. And one
So
club,
are you still during this time? Are you when you're going to Berkeley and playing in the wedding band? Are you still living with your aunt?
No. I had an apartment.
You moved to Boston.
I moved out.
Berkeley's like in the city of Boston.
It's
right?
in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah. I moved out of my aunt's place. I had an apartment, and I was doing that on weekends. And then I started playing at this club that I actually quit school when I started working there. That was Wallys. Wallys, we call it Wallys School of Music.
It's legendary amongst
legendary club.
It's probably not legendary to most people, but
Right.
amongst people I know that went to Berkeley, it's fucking legendary.
Right. In Quincy Jones's autobiography, he says that he used to go there in the 50s.
Damn, I didn't know it went back like that.
Yeah, it went back like that. And that was a great period. It's a great club. I recommend anybody that goes to Boston, stop by Wallys. They have music.
I thought that it was closed.
No,
No,
they have
still
live music 7 days a week, no cover, and it's some of the best music you'll ever hear.
It's just like badass Berkeley students jamming on funk shit, right?
Not necessarily Berkeley students. I think
Right.
most of the people there are not Berkeley students. But there's just a legacy in there. There's a way of playing that you just can't get in any other place. I was doing the funk nights. Soul Live came out of there.
Yeah, all those guys.
Yeah,
I know all those
famous
guys.
musicians
Yeah,
came out
the lettuce dudes.
Right.
Deitch, Krasno.
Yeah. And when I came in, I replaced Jeff Baskar.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy. Jeff Baskar is a super producer today.
Well, him and Krasno, they were like best friends. They lived together for like 2 years back there.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of went different ways. Krasno went the way of the I don't know how you would say that. He didn't go the pop way. He went more
Right.
like the musician-y, jammy kind of way.
Well, Baskar also started Lettuce,
Right.
which is a big, funk.
They just did the El Rey
Yeah,
like 2
they
nights
just-
ago
yeah.
or some shit.
A lot of people came out of Wallys, man, and a lot of people are still at Wallys that are still killing it. A lot of people might not be as known as Baskar or Kraz, but
Did Angie used to do Wallys?
Angie used to do Wallys.
What about Dewan?
No, I don't think
He wasn't
did
really
it.
a player like
No,
that, huh?
no. And Wallys, I used to be scared of Wallys. I actually never stepped foot in it until I got called to do it, and I was really scared. The first night I was terrible, but they kind of raised me. They helped me be the musician that I am today. So for all musicians, I highly recommend stopping by Wallys and checking it out.
There actually are a lot of there's a lot of musicians that listen to the show, so I think people will probably find this shit interesting. And Berkeley is, especially amongst like, musicians that aren't majoring in like classical type of music or marching band type of music that are offered at regular colleges. Berkeley is pretty much one of the top schools as far as musicians that want to get into like the music industry and maybe you want to be fucking Beyonce's guitar player or something like that. A lot of these cats went to Berkeley.
Right.
And I always hear mixed reviews about any school like that. Like a lot of my film friends went to Full Sail, which is kind of like that for film. You know what I mean? It's expensive.
Right.
And it's like, I even me went into the recording school. I find that a school like that, you only get out of it what you put into it. It's not the school's fault. It's usually the individual's fault. So I just wanted to see if you could give a quick review on like, are you happy you went there? Do you think it was worth it?
Yeah, it's not so much about the classes and what you learn there. It's more about the people you meet and the hang.
Right.
I met some people who are friends of mine for life, and sitting with people from all over the world and listening to music till 6 a.m, being exposed to different things. I mean, that's really what I learned there. I didn't play much at Berkeley. I was a music synth major. I always liked synthesizers and that thing, and I just wanted to be in the synth labs. So
you wanted to be like building synths?
No. And actually, the synth department is kind of about that, which I hated. It had very little to do with music. But I just wanted to be...
It's more like building a fucking robot or something.
Yeah, just not musical to me. I wanted to make music, But Berkeley wasn't really about the classes for me. It was about the hang. And there are people that were around in that period that didn't go to school, didn't go to Berkeley, but they were around, and they got just as much.
Just by being around?
Just by being around.
Right.
Playing Wallys, playing in the wedding bands, playing out every night. Like, in my wedding band were teachers of mine. You know what I mean?
Is that how you got in the band?
I got in the band because... How did I get in the band? No, I went... I saw an ad. The band leader put out an ad at the Berkeley Bulletin saying they need a keyboard player. And they used to play every Thursday, like a showcase. And I just went and I played, and he started putting me on. How did you
as far as the level of talent of the other students, did you find that it was just like some people were there and really probably shouldn't have gone, and then some people were way above others? And that's what's weird about music school to me and art school and things like that. Like, you get to college and people kind of take the same math classes and they're kind of at the same level. But if you go to, or like MI, for example, I had a friend that from the recording school who had tried to go to MI but failed out, and he was a guitar major. And like I've seen him play guitar, and like he literally plays like punk rock power chords and nothing else. And when he got into guitar class and little fucking Timmy the Shredder was sitting next to him, like, that's just a different field,
Yeah, I had my first roommate was this kid from like South Carolina or something. And he owned 12 CDs, like, in life. And they were all Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Interesting.
And, of course, he played guitar. He didn't last more than a semester. So, yeah, he was really out of place. But then there were some kids who were just brilliant,
Right.
I think out of 3,000 students, there were maybe 20 that were top students.
Would you consider yourself being in the 20?
No. They were, like, above and beyond, and... Most of them have really big careers in jazz. There weren't...
most virtuosic people now are jazz people, yeah.
There were a few, like, producers that are now something. Like, Nephew, if you heard of him. He was a few doors down from me in the dorms, and he would always be like, man, come down, let's do tracks. Come teach me something. And then I remember one day he just left school, and then 6 months later, he came to school with Dr. Dre. And he came. They were flying somewhere on a private jet, and he said, let's go to Berkeley real quick, just for like an hour during lunch. And he brought Dre to just check out the school. So he was working with Dre and Eminem, and he worked on all these records. And
that's a similar story. That's not Dwan's nickname, is it?
It's not. No,
because that's like a very similar story to Dwan. He worked on all the Eminem and Dre shit, so they probably know each other.
Oh, absolutely. And then You know, my first semester there, John Mayer was there. And, you know, I knew a lot of people that, I ran into him a bunch of times.
You said he was always at parties, and every party would turn into a John Mayer concert.
That's right. In like 1998.
Anytime you went to a party and he was there, he'd end up just playing his shit.
Just like stopping the party, grabbing a guitar, and doing a 45-minute set.
Jesus.
Of like the songs that are famous.
Body is a Wonderland and shit like
all
that.
Stuff. And then
I wanna run through the halls of the high school. I wanna scream at the top of my lungs.
Exactly.
I went around and said a better day. He really found his fucking niche, didn't he?
You know,
he was on the Grammys playing with Ed Sheeran with his pink guitar.
Yeah. That was a diss. Did you know that?
What?
That guitar.
What do you mean?
So apparently he had some beef with Fender.
Okay.
And he doesn't use them anymore. That's what I heard. I don't
he
know.
used to just rock this regular Strats.
Right. So he had a beef with them, and he doesn't use them anymore. He tweeted about it too, and then he used like a $200 Jackson guitar on the Grammys.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, back then I have a friend who had an apartment on Boylston, and he said on Friday nights, Mayer would push his speakers. He had these big speakers, my friend. He would push them to the balcony, and Mayer would play his first album, and then he would throw copies of it to people walking down the street.
Wow.
From the balcony, and he would say, "That's John Mayer. He's gonna be a big deal one day."
Dude, a lot of people are like that, and that really are gonna be. You know.
Right.
If you have talent and confidence, there's no stopping motherfuckers like that. It's Kanye, you know.
Right. So yeah, there were a lot of people there, man. I'm trying to think who else. Esperanza Spalding, who's very famous jazz musician.
Jazz bass player, yeah.
Yeah.
She won best new artist Grammy one time.
Over Bieber.
Yeah.
So I went to Berkeley.
Do you know her?
I played gigs with her back then, and I met her like a year ago. She came to a show that I did, and I saw her backstage, and we talked for a little bit. She's a really nice girl. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I like her music, man.
Yeah,
I really like her.
Dope.
Did you?
Did I?
Did you?
I don't think she's into guys, is she?
Is she? Oh,
I
really?
don't know. I'm just talking.
Dude, most female musicians that I know are lesbians.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Except singers. Singers are different.
Right. There were a lot of singers at the time. Like they all wanted to be like Sarah McLachlan, you know, or like Alanis Morissette. This was the 90s, man. This is like 98, you know.
Right.
99.
Right.
So yeah, Berkeley, then Wallys.
So how long? Berkeley's is 4 years.
Berkeley's I think I went for 3. I also stopped for a year. I had problems in my arms. I practiced too much.
Jesus.
That's what happens in music schools. Like the competition is so fierce that you end up practicing a lot, and a lot of people injure themselves.
Wow.
Yeah, I stopped for a year.
Damn.
Dude, it got so bad I couldn't pick up a phone. Back then it was an actual phone you had to pick up.
Yeah.
Couldn't pick up. I couldn't open doors.
That's crazy,
My
man.
arms were fucked up.
Because I feel like you practice a good amount now.
I do.
But back then it was like every waking minute.
It was like 5-6 hours a day,
Mhm.
you know? Yeah, it was a lot.
You can have some nasty fucking carpal tunnel arthritis shit when you're old, man.
Right.
And you're gonna be deaf too. That sucks.
Yeah, I'm gonna be deaf for sure.
So you do Berkeley, and then you kick it in Boston and do stuff like Wallys and just do the wedding band, and you're building your musicianship up. So what happens next?
Then I got my first tour when I was 24. That was with Brian McKnight.
Wow, your first tour was with Brian McKnight?
Yep.
You had never done a tour before that?
Nope.
That's an interesting thing about you is you've never been in some just shit band that like, you know, like.
Right.
That like
I mean, the bar bands that I started out in when I was 18 was kind of that. They used to pick me up at 9. I didn't have a car. They used to pick me up at 9, and I'd be home by 3 in the morning. And I had a class the next morning at 9. And that was four nights a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. For 8 months I did that.
But that was still cover bands.
It was cover bands.
You never did like an original, or like you were like, I'm starting this band. We're called fucking Spearfish.
No, I never did that. No.
I was in a band for so long. We had shitty, like we did like when I talk to your like friends that you know from like the music industry, like, and you know, any job, if you do it for long enough, you're gonna have a sense of jadedness, you know. But our boy who's doing that big tour, when he was talking about, he was, God damn, I got to go on this fucking tour. And it's like, it's like fucking luxury. It's huge money. It's huge shows. Like, they give you fucking free clothes. They fucking, you have your own room and the luxurious hotels and all that bullshit. Every fucking thing's catered.
Dude, I have one this summer, and I don't want to go on it.
Dude, the shit we used to do back in the day, I don't know, man.
Yeah. But I carried my gear all over Boston, and
which is actually, you're in the worst.
To weddings.
Well, you're tied with drummer for worst gear lugger.
That's right. 2 keyboards, a stand, and an amp. I mean, I'm not complaining, but you know, in Boston, I had to play weddings in January and February when it's like snowing. There's nobody on the road,
right?
But like trucks and shit, you know. Yeah, so I did that for a long fucking time. So I always wanted to tour with a big artist. And
how did you all just get Brian McKnight though?
Well, that's a funny thing too. I was playing at Wallys. I played at Wallys for 2 years, and I met a lot of musicians there because Wallys is a place that musicians from all over the world, whenever they play Boston, they would come to Wallys. And so I would meet a lot of guys. So his musical director actually lived in Boston, and he came in one night and he said, I'm going to take you to play for McKnight with me. And I said, cool. And I went home and I bought all the Brian McKnight albums and I studied them. And then he called me a year and a half later. And he said, are you ready? I said, yeah, let's go. And 3 weeks later, funny enough, on my birthday, I was in L.A., first time in L.A., and I met Brian. We had a rehearsal. And I started playing with McKnight.
And how was that tour? Did you guys go all over the place?
We went, at first it was just in the States. This is another I have another crazy story about that. You want me to go into it?
Yeah.
We're already like 42 minutes in.
Really?
Yeah. Doesn't feel like it, right?
No.
Maybe this is wrong. Hold on. Let me see. No, it's right. So with McKnight, so I'm from Israel, right? And I moved here when I was 17. So I never did the army. I never served in the army. In Israel, everyone has to serve in the army.
Right.
Men and women.
Crazy.
Yeah. Men for 3 years, women for 2 years, 9 months. And men actually, once you're done with your 3 years, you have to do a mandatory 30 consecutive days a year until you're 45.
It's fucking nuts.
Fucking nuts. And my brothers, I have twin brothers, and they're 30, and they still do it. So I never went to the army. So because I never went to the army, I kind of escaped the army as far as they're concerned. So I wasn't allowed to go back to Israel. And that got resolved like 3 years ago. And so I was playing with Brian, and then I think after, 8 or 10 months, we had some dates in Europe, and I didn't have a passport. And they said, well, see what you can do. So I went, I talked to this lawyer, and she said, oh, we'll get you something. And she got me this thing that looks like a passport, but it's green. And she said, you'll be able to leave and come back with this. So we go to the airport. I'm with Brian and the band and the crew and the management and everybody. We're at LAX, and we're preparing to go to Europe. This was 4 days in Amsterdam, 4 days in London, and 2 days in Paris. And we all check our bags, and then they say, everybody can go except for him. He doesn't have a passport. And so they give us back this little green thing, and we open it, and it says, this is not a passport.
So you got a shitty lawyer.
Right. And so they said, Brian and his manager, I of course was so embarrassed. I was like, this.
Yeah, because you're fucking up the show.
Right. So Brian and his manager said, okay, you're going to go with our assistant, take him to a hotel. As soon as we get to Amsterdam, we're going to take care of this. So the assistant drives me to the hotel. And then at 3 a.m, she calls me and she says, all right, I'm going to pick you up. We're going to go to the airport. We go to the airport, and they just got to Amsterdam, and they go straight to the embassy. And we were on the phone with them for like 6 hours at the airport. And I don't know what they did. I don't know how it happened, but they got me on that plane. And they got me on all the other planes traveling inside of Europe and coming back to the States without a passport. I have no idea how they did it. I think their record label in London had something to do with it. I don't know who they paid, what they did.
Everything can be solved with
Dude,
money.
That shit was a fucking miracle.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So that was the first time I was in Europe with Brian. And I was with him for 2 years. And then I moved to Los Angeles. I moved to LA. Oh, you want the LA story?
Yeah, I like the first week of LA story. And you
Yeah.
can see what he's about to talk about. You can actually see the shit on the internet.
I decided to drive to LA from Boston. So I put all my shit in the car, whatever I could fit, and I drove.
What made you move to LA?
You know, I always wanted to live in LA. I just always wanted to be here. I hated the.
I pictures you as a youth in Israel watching Baywatch and shit like that.
Right.
And fucking
I would watch
Beverly Hills Cop, and you're
I
like, I want to be like Eddie Murphy.
I would watch the
a keyboard
Grammys
player.
and shit,
Right.
You know, and then when I was 11, I think Michael Jackson did a concert in Israel, and I saw that, and I was like, I want to be in the band.
Right.
You know? And I drove to LA. Took me 3 days. And one of the people that I met while I was at Wallys, he was a musical director, very famous guy that used to come to Wallys whenever he was in town. He lived in LA. And so I called him the day I got to LA, and I said, yo, I'm here. And he said, cool. And then he called me later that afternoon. He said, yo, are you busy in 2 days? I said, no. He said, all right, we're doing Jay Leno with Patti LaBelle. I said, cool, let's go. And so we did that show, and that's on YouTube. The song we did was Ain't No Way. And
you're like the only white dude in the band.
I'm the only white dude in the band. I was 25.
Patti LaBelle.
Patti LaBelle, man. And I started playing with her. I played with her for 2 years. I started as the keyboard player, the third keyboard player. I think that she didn't even notice that I was there until the third show. And then the third show, she turned around and she was like, play, white boy. And I took a solo, and she was really impressed, you know, and I stayed. And I think after a year, I got called to move up and musical direct her and play piano and conduct the band. And, you know, those are really, really big shoes.
You played with her for 2 years?
Yeah, I think so, just about.
Dude, that's like the thing about a gig with Patti LaBelle is like, I don't know. It's one thing to just like fill in for somebody in a fucking rock band or some young pop star, but like that, you got to be a beast to be in that, I would think. Like,
yeah, it was crazy because it's like the real deal, you know, like she's the real deal. Like it's like Motown, you know. There's no computers on stage, like everybody's playing and singing and yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. I played with her. Then I moved to LA, and I was in LA for a year.
Were you like was it kind of like when you were playing the 2 years with Patti LaBelle, was it kind of like strictly Patti LaBelle, or
no. So I started playing with her, and at the same time I played with Eric Benet. See, that musical director that called me for it, he's a keyboard player himself.
He has R&B connects.
Yeah. Rob Lewis, he's one of the greatest. And he had like 5 or 6 different artists that he was juggling.
Right.
And I was his sub. I was his number 2. You know, whenever he couldn't be somewhere, he would send me. So very quickly, I was playing with Eric Benet, Tony Braxton, and there's somebody else. I was supposed to play with Babyface too, but that never happened. And so he was juggling those artists and Babyface and Christina Aguilera. Christina Aguilera was like his main. So yeah, for that year, my first year in LA, that's what I did. And I think I was on like 4 flights a week. It was crazy. Like one artist would fly me to one city, and then the next artist would fly me from that city to the next city, and then the next city, and then home. Like
right.
It was insane.
And artists like that, I imagine you ain't carrying no gear.
No. And with Patti, I played piano. With Eric, I played keyboards. With Tony, I played piano. And with Tony, I'm still with Tony. 10 years. I've been with her 10 years. And
you're her musical director?
I'm her musical director and piano player. And I did one tour with her back then. It was a 5-week tour. Then we did a 2-week tour. And then she got a Vegas show. She got a show in Vegas, and she asked me to move to Vegas. And I moved. I moved to Vegas, which was crazy. I don't recommend it. But no, Vegas was awesome. I was there for 3 years. I don't remember the first 6 months.
You're just too fucked up?
I was fucked up.
Were you doing drugs? What?
Drinking. No, I stopped doing drugs at that point. I was drinking. Some of the highlights were...
What you were doing the first 6 months, would the show not start yet?
No, the show, we were working 5 nights a week. I used to go to work at 6:30 in the afternoon. By 9 o'clock, I'd be home. So at first, I used to start drinking after the show. You know,
you're saying that you would work 5 days a week for about 3 hours.
Right.
Okay.
At first, I used to drink after the show. Then it was during the show. Then it was before the show. I used to start drinking at like 5 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy in Vegas, you know. And after the show, we would always go out and we would just be like celebrities in Vegas. Go to any club, get in for free, have tables and bottles and just the works, you know. The highlights were, let me think, from those 6 months, I fell asleep at a few places. You know, like 5 a.m. I'd fall asleep and then wake up at 7. That happened.
Like at a club?
At a club or at an EDR. You know what an EDR is? An EDR is an employee dining room, and every casino has one. And it's basically a cafeteria for the employees. And
they serve alcohol there?
No. We used to know where all the EDRs are. Any hotel you go to, any casino in Vegas, you got to kind of know how to get to the EDR. The doors are usually not hidden, but you can't see them if you don't know that those are the doors to the EDR.
Why are you allowed to go to any one?
We weren't. I wasn't allowed. But I had so many friends in so many shows in all the casinos that they would show me where the EDRs are.
Right.
So we would go to the EDRs at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, and sometimes I'd fall asleep there. Another thing that happened was that I got kicked out of Mandalay Bay for having sex with a girl in the girls' bathroom.
Well, look at you.
That happened, yeah. And they thought that she was a hooker.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But she was just a random chick?
Yeah. And they weren't too happy about that. But
they kicked you out that night or kicked you out forever?
Yeah, that night, and they were like, "You can't come back here." But of course, I was back. You know?
Right.
Yeah. So I did that for 6 months, and then I stopped drinking. I stopped drinking, and I stopped drinking for 4 years. And I stayed in Vegas for another 2 years. The show with Tony lasted one more year, so the show was a total of 2 years. And then I stayed for an extra year. Vegas was cool. It was just not for me. You know, it's a cool city. Like after you get over the Strip and all that, it's a very quiet, chill city. Not expensive to live in.
Yeah, I've heard that you can get a really nice house for cheap. Like how?
Yeah. I think I had a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment 5 minutes from the Strip for like $700 with like pools and
right
tennis courts and all that shit, you know.
Yeah, that's an interesting city. I'm sure there's a lot of there's a fucking dark underbelly like a motherfucker. That's
and
I guess in Vegas it's not like, because some cities have a dark, like Portland has a dark underbelly. Vegas just is dark, like overbelly or whatever.
Yeah, if you get into like the dark corners of Vegas, you might never come out. There's crazy shit there. And I have a friend who lives there, and I remember one Friday, it was before my show, we were on my balcony, and this guy comes over and he's like, "Hey, do you guys need any pills?" I got, he had like, I don't know, ecstasy and Viagra and all this shit, and we're like, no.
A great combination.
Right. And we were like, no, we're good. And then I go to my show, I do my show, and then I call my friend, and I couldn't find him, and he didn't pick up. And that was Friday, and he didn't get back to me. Then, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no word from him. Then Monday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, he knocks on my door, and he looked like, he hadn't slept. He was like, "Dude, I don't know where my car is. I don't know where my computer is." He ended up hanging out with this dude, and it was just insane. Like, it was like GTA. The guy had a stripper girlfriend, and there were guns involved and a lot of drugs, from like Special K to meth to whatever.
So weird, man. It's so weird how like people go. I've been one of them, but not like that. But it's weird how people choose to like destroy themselves
Right.
for a while.
Right.
You know what I mean? We all do it.
Right.
But like you're like, yeah, let's do that, and then you wake up and you're like, well, I don't have my car, fucking blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? It's weird.
Also, you know, we had a friend there. This girl, she's 24, hot as shit, and she had this boyfriend who was in his 40s, but very cool dude, and he was worth $300 million. And they were just insane together. They were like one of those couples that they really shouldn't be together. They're like toxic to each other.
Right.
And every
but that's
time
kind of why they stay together, because there's like,
Right.
because the highs are really high. That's what
Right.
happens in relationships like that.
Every time they would fight, he would go into a casino with like 150,000 in cash, and just gamble, do like 10,000 a hand, play blackjack, just really quick, just lose it or
Damn.
just fuck it. And me and my friend used to go with him, and they, you know, there's like a whole spread of like alcohol and food, and we just eat and drink, and
Right.
just follow these people. At one point, I think he gave her, he proposed to her, and he gave her a ring. The ring was like a $250,000 ring, and after a week, she got mad at him, and she threw it out the window. And we asked where she threw it, and they wouldn't never tell us where. We wanted to go find it.
Damn.
Yeah. So you meet all kinds of fucking people in Vegas, you know.
I might be going to Vegas soon.
Yeah.
I might be. My boy's having a bachelor party there. I wasn't gonna go, and now that I'm drinking again, I might go, man. I haven't been in so long.
Vegas is fun. I say if you're going to go to Vegas, make sure you see a show. The shows are great.
We're not gonna see a show.
Well, fucking
We're there
try.
for no, dude. I'm telling you, we're like it's a bachelor party for one night.
Oh, okay.
We're not gonna see a show.
I mean, the thing about a show is that you can go to a show at 7 and you're out by 9 or 10,
Right.
and then you go party. The shows are really great. You know, it's just easy to go to Vegas and gamble and drink and get fucked up. And
Yeah, and I don't give a fuck about gambling.
right.
That's the thing. I don't care. I just don't care about it.
Yeah.
You know, I'll play roulette or whatever, but like it doesn't like gambling does not thrill me.
Right.
I understand why it thrills people, but it doesn't thrill me at all.
I'm the same way. The last 6 months I was in Vegas,
Thrill me at all.
I was doing a show that was a poker show. It was a live poker show, and I didn't know anything about poker. But I really, really got into it, and I started hanging out with all these poker pros. Daniel Negreanu and Phil Hellmuth, and all these people were at the show every day. And that's a whole other, you know, side of Vegas, like the poker hang. Like, they're crazy people, you know, crazy, insane people who just, like, bet so much money and win so much money and lose so much money that it's nothing, you know. I've been in, you know, rooms where they're playing $1 million a hand, and they just don't give a fuck. They have just, there's no respect for money, you know, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That
And
is
they
kinda
all
cool.
have like really interesting lives. One of them, what's his name? Scotty Wynn.
I know who these people are because there was a time period. It must be the same time you lived in Vegas where there was just like this year or two period where poker was big. Like it was really when they first started to be a major event that like the World Series of Poker were televised, and people like that, Phil Hellmuth, Daniel Negreanu,
Right.
Doyle Brunson,
and
yeah.
Todd Brunson.
He was my favorite because he was all old and like
Right.
looked like he came from like the old school fucking cowboy poker
That's
days.
right.
Like he plays in
That's
the
right.
fucking saloon, had aces up his sleeves and shot at people and shit.
That's right.
He probably totally didn't do any of that. He was probably
Right.
just a fucking nerd, you know.
Right.
But
Scotty Wynn, he would always get a tiger. I guess you can have a tiger until it's 4 months old. And I just thought it was the coolest fucking thing. I want to have a tiger too.
yeah,
You know. So they all have.
that's
very
a thing. That's a thing in Vegas.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I have a friend who used to work out there, a producer friend of mine, King David. Actually, you might know him. He had a friend in Vegas who would have exotic animals,
Right.
have tigers and shit. I wonder if you can have a giraffe. Giraffes are kind of cool. I don't know, man.
So yeah, so that was Vegas. Then I moved back to LA. I think as soon as I moved back to LA, I started playing with probably one of the best gigs I've ever done. We should have
Wax.
a drum roll for that. Is there a drum roll on this keyboard? No. Anyways, New Kids on the Block.
Oh.
Yep.
The right stuff. You got the right stuff.
Exactly.
My sister was a big New Kids on the Block fan.
Man, I had no idea about them. I grew up in Israel. I mean, I knew who they were, but I didn't know how big they are, or I just had no idea. Like, you don't
Mm.
think that New Kids on the Block are doing anything, but I remember the first night I played with them, and it was in Texas, and it was an arena. There's 15,000 people there. And I'm backstage eating at catering, and I was talking to this girl who was from London, and she's a fan, and she said, you'll see me like 6 or 7 more times this tour. She was coming on weekends from fucking London to see New Kids on the Block.
These people that go to New Kids on the Block, it's basically like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's basically like they have a niche fan base, but the fan base are super, super, super die hard, like ladies like that. They live for the New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, and
they work to make money to pay for tickets to their shows.
Absolutely, and it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. We had women following our tour bus, like the band. Every hotel we would go to, there'd be like 30 women in the lobby waiting for the band, not the New Kids, us. Because they were like, if you introduce me to Donnie, I'll suck your dick, or whatever. Like, straight up.
They would say shit like that?
They would say shit like that. They would have shit like that on signs.
Man, I'd be getting my dick sucked every night.
Dude,
Hey, so just kidding, Mom. She was
I'm
probably
telling
listening.
you, it's like, no dude should ever experience that. Like, it's not right, After every show, usually Donnie would have an after party. There would be like a tent in the back, and it would be 2,000 women and like 30 dudes, including the New Kids. So, I mean, the odds were it was just not fair. It's just not right for you to be able to walk around and just pull girls, It was awesome.
That's pretty crazy. That's some LA shit.
Yeah, it was great. So I did that for a while. I did a few tours with them, and I also did the cruise. They have a yearly cruise where it's 3,000 women on a boat for 3 to 4 days with no internet, no television, no cell phones. You're just out there.
Just out there in the fucking middle of the ocean hanging tough.
Man, it's fucking insane. And I did it, I think it was like the 3rd year, and at that point, like, some guys found out about it. So there were like 5 or 6 single straight dudes on the boat that just knew, like, it's just a fuck.
Right. They're like in the know, like the wedding crashers, just in the know about how to get pussy. Right. Yeah.
Right. It's great. It was awesome. No phones. Imagine that. You're just on the boat. There's hot tubs everywhere. Every night there's a huge party on the Lido deck. And
I think of a world with no. First of all, that sounds amazing. But a world with no phones, just going somewhere for 4 days with no phone and nothing sounds awesome.
And 3,000 women. I think it was 3,000 women and again like 30 dudes.
Now, what percentage of these women? I mean, New Kids on the Block were hot in the early '90s, like maybe even the late '80s is when they started. But I mean, what age are these fucking women?
I hope I don't offend anybody here, but 3,000 women, I would say 200 of them are like smoking hot. 200 smoking hot. So that leaves like another 500.
You're talking about about 6.5% of the women. That's what that percentage is. Yeah.
All right. Math McGee over here.
Yeah, because it's 20. If it was 1,000, it'd be 20%. It's 3,000, so you divide 20 by 3.
All right.
What's up?
Nice.
What's up?
That Maryland school system.
Yeah.
Paying off.
Goddamn right.
Nice.
I'm an American from Maryland.
Yeah. So I'm really.
Why? What'd y'all have in Israel? You didn't have fucking math. You didn't have fucking math.
Give it up for the Maryland school system.
Give it up for the Scholastics wizard. He won the math bee. Did you have spelling bees and math bee? We didn't have a math bee. I made that up just now.
I don't think there's spelling bees in Israel. I might be wrong. I don't know.
Because it's not like this. Like I wish it was, so you would be more even more, so I could pick on you. But it's not a third world country. You have fucking regular schools and shit.
It's actually
just high school and shit over there is different. I mean, the only reason I can think of it's different is you don't because you described American high school as having football and cheerleaders.
Right.
Did you not have cheerleaders?
No.
Did you have soccer? Is that your only sport you had?
I don't remember.
In fucking, I don't know, in Dreidel building. I don't fucking know anything about it. It's been documented on the show that I know nothing about Judaism. I grew up in a place, unlike the place you mentioned in Massachusetts. There's one Jewish kid in my high school, one Jewish family, and him and anybody that was him and his brothers and sisters. I have had a great story about him when he made falafel. The first falafel I ever had was Avram Lubkin's falafel, and every falafel I've had since then has been terrible.
You gotta come to Israel.
I know. Yeah, I'd love to go to Israel, dude.
Israel is they say the third biggest superpower in the world after the UK and the US.
The third?
Yes.
Dude, China could fuck Israel up, dog.
In what we invent in technology and medicine, I guess. And I think in
probably weaponry.
Yeah.
You have to Israel's a place where when they say national defense, they really mean defense.
Right.
Like our defense is really offense. You know what I mean? Israel is fucking defense. Needs to defend themselves.
You know what they invented in Israel? The USB.
Am I supposed to be?
You're supposed to. Yeah. Also, ICQ was invented in Israel. So AOL, Instant Messenger, they bought them.
What, everything that's a 3 fucking letter anagram? AOL, ICQ, and fucking
STD.
USB. Yeah, did they invent AIDs?
Right. So, New Kids on the Block. Yeah, man. I recommend to all the guys out there to go to the New Kids on the Block cruise.
Officially the gayest thing that's ever been said on this podcast, but it's actually the straightest thing that's ever been said on this podcast.
And I'm telling you, it's a good
That's
time.
weird how that's super gay and super straight at the same time.
Dude, dudes come to the show and they have such a good time because those songs are fun, man. And when you see 15,000 women going nuts, and then I tell my friends, because I've played with female artists and male artists, it's much better to play for a male artist, because female artists, when they go see the concert of a Christina Aguilera or something, they at the end of the show they feel for her and whatever. When they go see New Kids on the Block, they're horny at the end of the show.
Right.
They just it's way better to play for a male artist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Patti LaBelle, you're not really getting pussy afterwards.
No, that was all
Brian McKnight might be some pussy.
Brian
available.
McKnight, yeah, but that was more like couples night.
Right,
date
right.
night.
Yeah, there's certain
Eric Benet was great.
Right.
Eric Benet was great.
I've heard Robin Thicke's audience is crazy.
I bet.
It's different now, I think, but with it, he's more major. But when he was making it out, according to my manager Brian, he said if you go to a Robin Thicke show, it's just 90% hot black chicks.
Right.
Which is weird because he's a white dude. That's kind of weird, but.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake also. It's crazy. Girls go and they want to fuck at the end of it.
Yeah.
So New Kids,
because they just figure they can't fuck Justin Timberlake, so they can just kind of imagine that you're him, sorta.
Right.
You know.
And the after parties are crazy. It'd
be great if you actually looked. You actually could be I don't know. You could resemble you're a white looking dude with a white haircut.
Right.
Dress white. Yeah, you could resemble a New Kid on the Block.
Right.
They could be well, I can't have Jordan, whatever their names are, but I can have this fucking guy.
Right.
And if you're in the band, forget about it.
Right. And they're so drunk by the end of the show.
Yeah, so you just rape them. So
pretty much. No, but it's a lot of them have husbands and kids and shit. It's
I didn't mean the rape thing, by the way. I have to apologize. My mom listens to the podcast now. And
hi, Wax's mom.
Yeah, and every time that she loves being referred to that
Wax's mom.
Yeah. Nice. I don't know if she does or not, but every time I do a podcast now, I get an email. My response to the podcast, so this one's going to talk about me being a dick towards women.
Right.
I think I mentioned cocaine earlier, all that shit.
Right. Yeah, sorry about that.
I don't give a fuck. I love you, Mom. I didn't mean I didn't give a fuck about you, but I didn't mean that. I'm just saying. That it's her. She doesn't have to listen.
Maybe we should write her a song real quick.
I'm not gonna say her name. I was about to say her name. I don't want to say her name. I haven't been sober in Hey, give me a chord. I'll go in. Mother, you gave birth to me. But actually, you didn't, 'cause I am an adoptee. I didn't come out of your vagina. I came out of someone else's vagina. Now, Father, Your sperm didn't create me. I'm officially, technically someone else's baby. But maybe it doesn't matter, because being adopted is pretty cool.
Love you, Mom.
You didn't do the one thing. You didn't do the fucking.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I love you, Mom and Dad.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
All right, at that point, you know what? This is getting long, and I got to do the fucking questions and and shout outs real quick.
Okay. We're at an hour now.
We're in the studio every day. You know what? We got to the part of your life where that you lived in Vegas, and then a little bit beyond.
Right.
And let's face it, everything after that sucked.
When I met you.
Yeah, that all sucked. You've gone so far downhill, which isn't true, man. It's a dream come true to have this studio. I'll tell you that. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing to have this studio. I have to sometimes remind myself that it's a dream come true. You know
Caviar
what I mean?
Studios.
Exactly.
So what do we got to do?
No, I just got to pull up my email because I have the questions and shout outs.
Okay.
See, and this shit's going to probably take a while, too, because I know your dumb ass is going to fucking chime in and say something stupid. But, all right, let me get into this. Let me check my mail here, Yahoo Mail.
Get another beverage.
Go ahead. That's because of that music we just made. Are you going to the ice machine? You bring a cup. Get some ice. Bring a cup. This fucking dumbass. All right, well, I guess he can hear somebody else down the street, down the hallway. All right. Didn't even pause. Not going to edit it. Shout outs. Donovan from Maryland. We got Mr. Tasty. Duck from Australia. I don't know if that's Duck or Duke. It's D-U-C from Australia. I'm going to call you Duck. Quack to you. Joseph R. wants me to make him This dude Joseph R. emailed me. That Maker's Mark, I think, is taking a hold. What are you doing, man?
I need another one. Can
It's
you
right here.
Refuel me?
Yeah, but I'm
You're the host.
reading now. I'm reading.
Man, please.
You're just scared. Joseph R. emailed me and says, because sometimes some people on the podcast have nicknames. Okay. And he was like, I don't have a nickname. Can you make up one for me? What's the first word that comes to your mind?
Huh?
Your name is Huh? Joseph R. And anytime you email in the future, go Joseph R. a.k.a. Huh? All right, Joseph R. We got Michael T., the overworked security guard from the UK. Of course, we got Sanch the Haunch, who recommends the Joey Badass album. I listened to that album. I would recommend it as well. Definitely, especially for people who like that 90s boom bap rap. It definitely brings back that vibe.
Does Sanch the Haunch have a song?
Sanch the Haunch? Nah, it was interesting because two people started emailing me at the same time. One is called Sanch the Haunch and one is called Nate the Plate. Sanch is Sancho, El Hancho, the head honcho. His name's Sancho. And it's like Wheel Watcher. I'm a wheel watcher. His name is Sancho. Head honcho, Sancho, Nacho, Macho. Rene Macho Man Savage, not average. He's the best. He might be from the West. Or maybe he is from East. Sounds the Haunch. We got Nikki, Where's My iPod? G. Moises R. Hansa from the Czech Republic. All right. I like this like musical version. Give me some just like what do we got here? This is a relatively just this is just like that's cool. Sup, Wax. Long time listener, and I have a random ass question. Have you ever done something someone wanted you to and originally you did not want to, but ended up enjoying it way more than you expected? I do that a lot, and I was wondering if you had similar situations. Thanks. Austin from Chicago. Did you hear that question?
No.
He said, have you ever done something someone wanted you to that you originally didn't want to and enjoyed it? I have an answer. My answer is skydiving.
Yeah, I did that too.
You skydived?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I was exhausted after it.
I thought I didn't want. I just went with. I was basically in the car with people who were going, and my girlfriend paid for me at the time when I was broke and convinced me to go. And I thought it was a great experience. I wouldn't do it again, I don't think. But
yeah, I went, and the place I went to was it wasn't like really a commercial spot. It was a school.
Was it here in L.A.?
It was in Vegas.
Oh shit!
It was where they, it was like these dudes who jump like 30, 40 times a day, and they were like, "Oh, you want to jump? All right, come on." And the guy that I went tandem with him. I said, how many times have you done it? And he said, 3. Next time I get to go by myself. That was a joke. But I didn't think it was funny.
No, it wasn't that funny.
Right.
But the thing is, the guy that I went with said the opposite. He was like, he knew the number.
Right.
This is my 6,477 jump.
But the thing is,
which gave me like a sense of like, okay.
About 6 months later, somebody died there at that same school.
Their chute didn't open?
Some shit.
He was just doing heroin in the bathroom.
Could have been me.
Yo, Wax, it's the one and only Raul Justice. Congrats on trying to quit smoking. Made me think of this Atmosphere song called The Skinny. I thought about something the other day. If you were offered a collab with a famous pop star like Taylor Swift or some shit, would you do it? Or would you decline to keep your street cred? How much money do you think you would get paid to do something like that? Have to get paid, I guess. The track with Mac Miller and Ariana Grande is what made me think about that question. I mean, Mac Miller isn't very mainstream, and he landed a collab with Ariana Grande. That's kind of tight. Do you think his people made it happen or the other way around? Stay fresh. That's my main man, Raul Justice. Always a favorite on the podcast. Would I do a collab with a famous pop star like Taylor Swift or some shit? To me, all that stuff depends on the song. I had to make cool music. I don't give a fuck. If the music's cool, I'll do it. As far as how much I have to get paid, it depends. Dude, if it's something dope, I'll do it for free. I don't give a fuck. But you say Mac Miller isn't very mainstream. I thought that Mac Miller was really famous. I don't know. Is Mac Miller famous?
I don't know.
Is your mic on?
Mic is not on.
What'd you do? You unplugged it?
Wait, it looks like it's still going.
Dude, did you fuck up?
Oh,
still
yeah.
Recording.
1, 2, 1, 2. There it is.
Did you unplug it?
No, I know what I did.
What?
It was this thing.
Why is that controlling your microphone?
Because we said it the other day.
Oh, wow.
It's all good.
All right. Break out the fucking snooze sound effect. Hi, Wax. This is from Ryota from the UK. My suggestion for the podcast is a pair of producers. Jesus Christ. My suggestion for the podcast is a pair of producers. They're called Peter and the Pickled Pepper Pipers. No, they're called DJs from Scotland called Jazz Spastics. I guess it's partly a suggestion from EOM as I saw him tweet about them under a few months ago, and I rarely check my Twitter too. This is the link to their recent album. I guess I should... Just look up Jazz Spastics. Thank you for the recommendation, Ryota. This is a really long email. This is uplifting, though. This is uplifting. Also, with regards to one of the email topics in podcast 78 or 79 about ethnicity and being human, I'd like to add to it. I feel if world peace is an actual aim for governments, corporations, etc., then we should all really see the world like a child does. In the sense that we live in the moment and judge a person in the present when conversing with them. We forget that every person is unique, regardless of every physical difference from the societal current norm there is on Earth. Ethnicity, religion, fashion, hobbies, etc. There's good and bad people in everything. It's a matter of from whose point of view, too. That's a strange sentence. Like good policemen and bad policemen, politicians, lawyers, even quote-unquote terrorists, etc. Everyone's human. Everyone's making mistakes. Everyone is the same, but unique at the same time. I think the very first question we should ask, for example, Everyone should be asking why when something, I missed this line. I think the very first question we should ask when something in our own point of view is, quote, very bad, unquote, is why is it happening in the first place rather than get angry. So for terrorists, for example, everyone should be asking why are they, people, not Muslims, when clearly they don't have the same minority, fighting in the first place. The majority of soldiers on both sides think they are fighting for some larger group. I don't think everyone's there because they enjoy killing people or they themselves financially profit significantly enough to risk their lives. I'm sorry for the long email again, man. Anyway, I hope all is well and you're still strong and sober when you read this. Good luck for the future. Looking forward to hearing your music. You're making it the moment. Thanks for what you're doing. Thanks for doing what you do, man. Best wishes. God, I'm getting a little tipsy.
Right, me too.
I can't even say best wishes. Although his opening sentence was, my suggestion for the podcast is a pair of producers. Podcast is a pair of producers. Podcast is a pair of producers. That's pretty hard to say. A pair of paraplegic producers. Yeah. Well, that was a very uplifting email, actually, from Ryota. He's basically saying that, well, you heard what he said. Everyone's human and we all make mistakes. And that's that.
I love your rendition of it. That was a nice rendition.
His name's Ryota. I like to drink Makers and soda, especially Canada Dry. I'm professional, I'm not an amateur guy.
What?
You better call your camera guy.
Who?
God damn it, I'm sly. God damn it, I'm high. And decide. Oh, that's kind of spooky. Spooky, kooky. Spooky, kooky. Spooky now like Halloween. Do you want to have a hollow dream? That's a dream without any content. I smell the bomb scent with the weed coming from down the hallway. All day, always, and forever. Like that old song, When I'm Clever. I'm doing it like together. Remember, it's not December, it's February. I'm very scary. You want to no hurry.
Yeah, we should maybe explain where these beats are coming from.
I don't know where is that the fucking presets on?
Yeah, it's just the presets on the multi.
And then you're just going off over top of them.
Playing, yeah.
Wow.
Right.
All right.
Wait, let me.
Sorry, Ryota. I didn't really get into Ryota's topic there. I just kind of read his email.
Yeah.
He was talking about some deep shit, but it's getting kind of long. You heard what he said when I sang it. All right, this is from Brian the Trainer in Michigan. Hey, Mike, haven't written in a while, but now that you're back on track with weekly podcasts, I figured it was a good time to message you. Hope the new house and studio are working out for you. I call myself Brian the Trainer, just to know when
Megan Trainer.
It is me getting a shout out or a question answered. This would be rap without any rhymes. I call myself Brian the Trainer just to know when it is getting. Now, he's saying he's an athletic trainer at a high school, which is different than a trainer. He takes care of sports injuries. And when things are slow in my office, the students and I will listen to your music on YouTube. Most of the kids, if they are new to my office, are usually surprised that I like rap music because of my age. Like I said before, I think I'm your oldest fan at 39. Anyway, the other day I asked a group of them if they had heard of you. One had. That's pretty impressive. But a bunch had not. So we played a few of your songs. Heartburn. Rosanna, Toothbrush, Bubble Guts, Two Wheels, and most of the kids thought that you were a comedy rapper based on the videos. I tried to explain that you did more than that, but they must have been concentrating on the visuals and not the word play. Long story to get to this question. If you had to pick a song or two to introduce yourself and your music to people who had never heard of you, which songs would you choose? Hope this makes the podcast. The reason I decided to answer this on the podcast is because I was going to get Davey's opinion.
Yeah.
Your mic is off.
Yeah. No, it's not off. It's just the volume is down, but here it is back. Here we go. I usually...
What are you doing?
See?
You're trying to do something?
I'm not. It's just doing
failing.
it. It's just doing weird
shit.
Here we go.
Hey.
I usually show people Rosanna. You know, when I'm like, my studio partner, he's a kind of a YouTube star.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, watch this, bitches.
It's a lot of views on Rosanna.
Yes.
I think the thing is, this is what I'll say, dude. The comedy shit and happy shit, uplifting shit in general is always going to usually get more views because that's why people listen to music.
Right.
But then if you have like a core fan base that likes you as like an artist, like they're general, a lot of them like gravitate towards the shit where it's more emotional and deep and fucking sad and shit.
Right.
But if it was up to me, if somebody asked me to show them shit, I usually show them Rosanna.
Right.
And if they think I'm a comedy rapper, fucking so be it. I don't give a fuck what people think I am.
Right. I also like Red.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's do one more question. This is from Athen M. Do you believe in ghosts?
Ghosts.
Ghosts. Do you believe in ghosts? Ghosts. Ghosts. Do you believe in ghosts? Ghosts. Ghosts. Do you believe in ghosts?
Ghosts.
Ghosts. I love the ghost. And if so, do you have any stories involving them? Just thought it'd be an interesting topic, especially if you had a guest like EOM.
Yes.
Why? Do you think he believe in ghosts? Maybe
does
he does.
believe in ghosts?
Ghosts. Ghosts. Does he believe in ghosts?
Does he
Ghosts,
believe
ghosts.
in ghosts?
Does he believe in ghosts? Does he believe in ghosts? Does he believe in the ghost on the West Coast?
Does he believe in ghosts?
Does he believe in ghosts? Does he believe in ghosts?
Ghosts.
Coos. If you don't answer the question on the podcast, another shout out would be awesome. Shout out to you, Athen M. Do I believe in ghosts? I actually...
Sorry.
Well, answer this one musically. I don't know what music you got there. Are you going to use the same one?
Yeah.
So the chorus is, do you believe in ghosts? And then the verse is whether you do or not and why. Do you believe in ghosts? Ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't think that they're real. It might just be an emotion you have when a dead person gives you a feeling. I think that is fiction. It's not fact. A ghost? Come on, man. That sounds like an act. Like a Vegas show. Like Davey used to play in, yo. Like that callback. That's some real comedy shit right there. You call back to earlier in the episode. Do you believe in ghosts?
Do you believe?
Do you? Do ya? Do ya? Do ya? Do ya?
It is porn music.
Yeah.
It is very porny.
You keep it playing. Let it go. Yeah. I was fucking a ghost the other night. The ghost told me to go fly a kite. I said, come on, ghost, give up the ass. He said, not really, man. I'm dead in the flash. Yo, when he finally gave it up, why am I making this ghost a male? I don't know. Why am I fucking a male ghost? A male ghost, a male ghost, ghost, a male ghost, a male ghost, ghost, a male ghost, a male ghost, ghost, a male ghost. A male ghost or a female ghost. I think ghosts are asexual. They don't have penises or vaginas. They just have sheets. They just have sheets. Sheets. They just have sheets. They just have sheets.
Ghosts don't procreate.
They're like a gas station on the east in that they only have sheets. Or maybe even Wawa. You look like the ghost of Lady Gaga. Rah rah, said the cheerleader at Davy School when he was in Massachusetts. I don't give two shits. Take my makers out 2 sips. 2 sips. Like 2 chains. I'm like Saddam Hussein. Hooray. Isn't that a fucking... This is the worst freestyle ever. But as far as... Let's stop the music for a second. Let's be very serious. Let's be very, very serious.
Okay.
Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
I don't believe in ghosts at all.
No.
I think unfortunately, I think when you're dead, you just die.
Yeah.
I don't think you become a ghost.
No. Sorry. Who is it? Who asked? Brian the Trainer? Sorry.
No. Athen M.
Sorry about that.
Brian the Trainer asked about what wax song you would play.
Yeah.
You know what Brian the Trainer needs to do?
What?
Train you how to shut the fuck up. What is that? Bonnie Raitt? What is that? What genre of music was that? Like country reggae mix?
That's funk.
What was funk? That was? No, the one you just played. It sounded like Bonnie Raitt.
Oh, no, that was...
Bonnie Raitt. What kind of reference is that? Yeah, this one.
I can't even see.
Is that like... I can't believe this comes with the motif. I can't believe that beat comes with the motif. I can't believe this one does it.
Oh,
The dudes who make the demos for every keyboard and every audio software, the dudes who make the demo just...
Dude, they're nerdy Japanese people.
Yeah, they're really good at making the shit, but the shit sucks, you know? Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Who's
man.
next?
I think that's it. That's
No
all.
more.
Dude, this is the longest podcast I've ever done. Congratulations,
Is it? Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Nathan,
90
Mr.
minutes.
Davy Nathan.
90 minutes.
I don't think it's. I thought. Am I looking at the wrong thing? That should
You
look
are.
like
you
2
are.
hours to me.
No, it's not. You see elapsed time, 91 minutes.
Well, that might not. I think that's still the longest. So, thank you, man. Was
You
that the
got it.
first note of Let's Get? Wow, wow, wow. Of course, now you have to sing the new lyrics to Let's Get It On. Take you into my loving arms.
Do you have like walkout music?
No. I don't have music on the
Well,
I
here
don't
we-
have music.
Why, you think there's a comedian's
Let's get it
podcast?
on. Sugar. There's nothing wrong with me loving you. Giving yourself to me could never be wrong. If the love is true. Oh, baby. You know, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, baby. Stop beating around the bush. Ooh, ooh. Let's get it on. Ah, let's get it on. What I'm talking about. Come on, baby. Woo. Get it on. Yeah. We're all sensitive people with so much to give. Understand me, sugar. Since we got to give, let's give. I love you. There's nothing wrong with me loving you. Giving yourself to me could never be wrong. If the love is true. Oh, baby. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Stop me. Doesn't he fucking go back? Does he do it just once every time? The pre? Woo! I want to get it on. What I'm talking about. Come on, baby. Move you, let me groove you. Let the love shine. Oh. Take me into your loving arms. Ed Sheeran, Marvin Gaye, Chardonnay. You can't even start your day without me killing you. Ain't nobody as ill as him on an island like Gilligan. Say I won't, but I will again. Do a due diligence. Let's get it on, baby. Ooh. We are all sensitive people, especially Davey. He's sensitive and maybe he's gonna get it on. With the dude from the New Kids on the Block, he'll get it on. With Mark Wahlberg's older brother, he's gonna get it on. With the dude who had the high-pitched voice, let's get it on. He might Get it on with the new kids on the block. He'll be hanging tough. Oh, whatever the melody they sang was. Then he fucks the Backstreet Boys too. And NSYNC. Dressed in pink. Hey. I go to the kitchen sink. Ha. I got to get myself a drink. Let's get it on. Oh, we about to modulate? Yeah. Let's get it on. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let's get it on. Fuck. Let's get it on. You know what I'm talking about. Come on, baby. Let me groove you. Let's take him up again. Let's take him up again. Oh, let's get it on. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's get it on. You know what I'm talking about. Come on, baby. Let me groove you. Let your love shine. Oh, yeah. Let's get it on. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, yeah. Gotta get it. Ooh, yeah. Da, 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 da. Boo ba doo boop.
Wax's podcast every Wednesday.
Yeah, every
Unless he's
Wednesday.
lazy.
Is this the space bar? Stop it.
Yeah.
Be safe out there.